Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Reva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapyat Sarvam, Trilokyam Sacharacharam, Tat Padam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita, Tvameva Bandhus cha Sakha, Tvameva Vidya Dravidam, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So I think we're on the 23rd shloka tonight. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, that's correct.
And Puneet, will you help us out, please? Sandhya is doing it. Okay. Hang on, let me get there.
Rage cha sukha dukkhadi buddhau satyam pravartate sushupta nasti tannashe tasma buddhishtu natmanaha. Attachment, desire, pleasure, pain, and so on are perceived to exist only as long as the intellect or mind functions. They are not perceived in deep sleep when the mind ceases to exist. Therefore, they belong to the mind alone and not the Atman.
Yes. So, the ego sense, remember this karta, this doer in the subtle intellect. It's lodged in what we call the vijnana maya kosha, the subtle intellect. What it does is attribute to the self the qualities of the not self. So we've gone through what it does with the physical body. I am male, I am female, I am old, I am young, I am gay, I am straight, I am fat, I am skinny, I'm ugly, I'm beautiful, all these things. Here Shankara is talking about what we do with the mind. So he's given us a partial list of mental qualities. Would you just read through the list again?
Attachment, desire, pleasure, pain, and so on are perceived.
Yes. So this means all of them: joy, sorrow, anger, fear, boredom, enthusiasm, engagement, all these various mind states. So you want to see the mind states, it's like a palette of a painter. Yeah. Some of us have only 2 or 3 colors. I'm angry, I'm depressed, I'm high. But a mature person has a whole range of possibilities, different hues and colors of the mind. But that karta wants to attribute these qualities to me, myself. I am happy. I am sad. I am attached. I am angry. I am bored. I am enthusiastic. I am having fun. So it attributes to the self the qualities of the mind. And here Shankara says, no. Take on the viewpoint of Sakshi Bhava, the uninvolved, unattached witness of the mind states. Now, the other thing, he doesn't really address this in the shloka, but I want to invite us to look at it as a practice. As with all created material things that occur in the phenomenal world, feelings are always transient. But the mind doesn't oftentimes remember this. So especially if I'm having an intense negative feeling, I want to get away from it. If I'm angry, I need to hit someone. If I'm annoyed, I need to tell you about it. If I'm fearful, I need to run. I'm enjoying, I need more. And what we learn in meditation, this is one of the greatest values of meditating for extended periods of time. Somebody's making noise out in Zoom land. May I invite you to mute yourself so it isn't disturbing? So I want to, what we learn in meditation, if we meditate for some significant periods, it's not going to be as obvious if you're only meditating 10 minutes. But if you're meditating 40 minutes or maybe an hour, or even if you do a long meditation retreat, what we begin to see is, yeah, emotions arise, but just don't do something. Sit there. What happens to them?
They pass through.
And it may come up again. It may come up repeatedly. But they have to end. Why? Because they exist in the phenomenal world, granted the subtle world. Now, this is also true about positive things. Oh, I'm so happy. I love my new house. I love my job. My relationship is really working out. And I've been to the gym every day this week. It's so good right now. Don't worry, it will pass. Just go to the beach and watch the waves. They come in, they go out. They come in, It's life. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Prakasho karshe to yasya shaitya magne yatoshnata swabhava satchidananda nitya nirmala tatmana. Just as luminosity is the nature of the sun, coolness is that of water, and heat is that of fire, so too the nature of the Atman is eternity, purity, existence, consciousness, and bliss.
So let's go through these terms that point to the nature of the self. So we're talking about some things, dharma. What is the definition of the word dharma? The nature of something, the essence of something, without which it would not be the thing that it is. So they said the sun, you can't have a sun that doesn't shine. I think we can in physics, but not in our normal everyday world, etc. So what are the terms that now Shankara is inviting us to see if it's true about me? Now, this is what I call a meditation verse. What is a meditation verse? A meditation verse is one wherein I look at these ideas. In meditation, I spend some time maybe chanting my mantra, maybe being with my breath, maybe scanning the body. So my mind is somewhat still. And I pick up the text and I look at what these attributes are. And then with the attention turned inward, see whether or not it's true about myself. It does us no good to think of the self out there. Oh, the self is pure. The self is peaceful. The self is, oh yeah, one of these days I'm going to realize the self out there. No, it doesn't work that way. So what was the first in the series?
Atman?
Yeah.
Atman is eternity.
Eternity. So, and was it Nityam?
Satchidananda Nitya. Yes.
Satchidananda Nitya. Nitya is actually outside of time. We have another word, Sanatanam, or we have Puranam, which mean ancient. Self is that too. But you are always in the eternal now. You pervade the past, you pervade the present, you pervade the future. You are eternal. Next idea.
Purity.
And what word did he use for purity?
Nirmala.
Nirmalam?
Nirmala.
Yes, malam means a taint or a dirt. So when I look inside and notice myself, it's vast, empty. Some scriptures will use the term shunyata. The Buddhists like that one, shunya, which means void. It means there's no thing there. Not nothing. It's no thing. I'm a terrible person. dishonest. It's just the activity of the body. Just a thought. Ooh. Next idea.
Existence.
Sat. Pure existence. You are. If you negate everything that's negatable, you are still you. Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. I wonder if he ever tried not thinking, see if he disappeared. You are a positive entity. Next idea.
Consciousness.
Chit. There was a wonderful doubt in a class this week. I can't even remember which class it was. And what is it that realizes it? And the essence of the doubt is the student had this assumption that the mind itself is conscious. You are consciousness. What is the mind? The beginning class, I talk about Swamiji's spiritual algebra. Mind, M, equals A, awareness, plus TF, thought flow. You can say vritti. You can say vimarsha. You can use any word you want. Now, those of you who remember your algebra, if you take the TF, the thought flow, and you move it to the other side of the equal sign, you got to make it negative. So mind minus the flow of thoughts equals pure awareness. When I am illuminating feelings and judgments, we call it mind. When I am illuminating thoughts and images, we call it intellect. When I am illuminating objects in the phenomenal world, we call it sense perception. But the constant is the prakasha, the light of chit, awareness. You don't have awareness. You are awareness. You don't really have states of consciousness, depending on how we define that. We have states of mind, which consciousness illuminates. The last one, and that was Ananda.
Yes.
It's absolute. We get into trouble with this one because it's translated as bliss absolute. And I think, oh, yeah, I want that bliss. Oh, we think of Ramakrishna just falling out and all that kind of stuff. I want that. But think. Remember, the scripture says the self is nityam, eternal. Also say it is kutusta, it is immovable, it is achalam, it never changes. Meaning, right now, you're experiencing the self. You are experiencing Satchidananda. Well, I sure ain't happy today. What's this Ananda stuff then? Is that, yeah, any of you have that doubt? So here's how to understand the deeper meaning of it. I like to translate Ananda as no sorrow reaches there in the beginning. This is also true. Physical pain gets as far as my body. Emotional upset gets as far as my mind. Doubt and confusion gets as far as my intellect. None of it touches me. But then why do we call it bliss absolute? I get it, okay, no sorrow reaches that, like the center of the cyclone. Why do they use a word like Ananda, bliss absolute? And that has to do with yoga's understanding of what is happiness. Remember, what does it feel like to want something you don't have? Or the flip side, you want to get rid of something you don't like. Raga and dvesha. These are forms of kama, desiring, craving. It sucks. Yoga says there's no other suffering. It says the same thing. That's it. That is the vikshepa shakti of the mind. Doesn't touch the self. If I remove the craving, the raga and the dvesha, the mind ceases its projection and it comes home. So the mind can be blissful because the self is the fountainhead, the source, the wellspring of all happiness. In my ignorance, I think I'm upset because of the world. Yoga says, no, the world is void, neutral, shunyata. I'm upset because I'm craving. What do? It's like I get out my piece of butcher paper and I draw a picture of a carrot on it. Then I attach a clip to the picture. I get a stick that's just a little bit longer than my arm. I fix it to my head. Then I just start running after that carrot. I'm gonna get that carrot. And finally, the wind blows it close to me. I got it. I have my carrot. And I think I'm so powerful, better, successful, sexy. All of it is. I created the picture. I determined that it's separate from me. I decided I need to run after it. And in those brief moments when desire and object of desire become one, finally, why are you hitting yourself on the head with a hammer? Oh, because it feels so good when I stop. I want this, more money, better job, different relationship, ambition, this. I got some of it, but now I want something else. It's cray cray. That's the human condition. Now it's a little subtle. Another one of the great metaphors is waves in the ocean. So we can say that the waves are rising and crashing because of the tempest. Attachment, agitation, longing, aversion. Then the storm passes, and what happens to the waves? If you've ever been out on the ocean after a storm passes, it's just smooth and glassy. Where did the waves go? They were nothing but the ocean. So this longing mind, I've got to get rid of my longing mind, my terrible mind, you take it. No, just let it come home. Now, most of us experience this. We just don't notice it. I think one of the greatest examples of it is driving in traffic. Have you ever had an appointment, say at 4:00, and you get on the freeway, you think you've planned all the time in the world, and what's that program, Waze? Is that right? Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Or Google Maps? It says accident up ahead, you'll be there in 55 minutes. And you're all stressed out. Oh God, I hope it doesn't take that long. You know that feeling? Yeah, I hate being late. And then finally you figure it out. There's nothing I can do. Text your friend, I'm gonna be late. Traffic. You didn't go any faster. You didn't get rid of the traffic jam. What did you get rid of? The craving, the desiring, the stressing, the trying to push the world around with your tight stomach muscles. Sound familiar? So we call the self Ananda, bliss absolute. Because what does the human mind want? We want happiness. We want the good. In fact, that's the mind's dharma. The mind is a pleasure seeker, pain avoider mechanism. We seek the good by our greatest understanding of it, and we avoid misery. From the moment you get up in the morning to the moment your head hits the pillow at night, that's all we do. Whether you're a beggar out there living in a tent, or you're Jeff Bezos, or you're a Mahatma. All we do. And even if we do altruistic things and do self-denial, why do we do it? Because we think it's a benefit. It's the good by a higher understanding of it. So the only real doubt is, where is the good? And for lifetimes, I've been convinced. People, places, things, and situations, conditions. That has driven me over and over and over again into the karma chakra, the wheel of cause and effect, samsara. There is no more fruitful meditation than to thoroughly understand what I call the pleasure principle. Why? Because this becomes the inspiration for mature renunciation. Once I internalize the fact that the cause of my disquiet is attachment, it's craving, it's aversion. Then when my mind says you're unhappy because you don't have what you want, you're not getting it your way, I can say to it, I will not let you deceive me. I will not let you delude me. That gives us the yoga balam, the power of yoga to practice mature vairagya. That desire, we don't do it overnight, to give up all attachments, things gained through the senses, and all ideas of self, from the body up to and including the form of Brahma. It's called Vairagya. Mature Vairagya cannot come from some moral place. I'm going to be a goody-goody and be a renunciate. Mike's been a monastic. You know how many guys try to be renunciates on all sorts of levels. And what a torture it is. Am I wrong?
You are correct.
Because they don't understand the fundamental cause of suffering.
And we never talked about any of this.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
It
It's there.
might have been an easier life, actually, if we would have talked about this.
St. Augustine talks about it. I can't only St. Augustine. You know, people poo-pooing. Too dark. But if you can, and what do we need to do? This is the practice. Watch our minds. Notice. Make friends with our suffering. Make friends with it. Oh, it hurts so bad. I'm so unhappy. Ah, why? I'm suckered into attachment again. I used to call my mind Buddha for this reason. And it's so repetitive and it's so boring after a while. Repetitive, mechanical, and boring. Oh. Finally, we get these moments in deep sleep. If you also watch what happens to my mind when I satisfy a desire, all I've done is momentarily free the mind from its addiction, its craving, its longing. Now, abandoning desire is no easy task. We have to have enormous compassion with ourselves. Don't worry, we have lifetimes. But self-realization, sthita prajna, steady wisdom, has as its precondition complete, mature vairagya. Any thoughts, any questions on this?
So Jim, quick question. So in that formula, mind equals the awareness plus, so the craving would be the awareness that you're craving. So you get rid of that, or bring the.
We want to understand that my ego will tell me I'm unhappy because I don't have what I want. Yoga tells me I'm unhappy because I have compulsive craving. So we begin to practice not running around trying to fulfill all my desires, but at least bit by bit, let go of the attachment, let go of the craving. I really want my wife to change. Every married person goes through this. My husband to change, my wife to change. If you stay married, guess what you're going to figure out? You can't change them. So if you want a peaceful home, what do? You learn acceptance. Does that make sense, Faz?
Yes.
Yeah. Every couple goes through this. What have you done? You've given up the craving.
But I was wondering,
Go
in
ahead.
in the formula you mentioned first, which part would be the craving? Which part of that is the craving in the formula?
Thing is the mind, the thought flow. It's the vritti. It's the thought flow.
It's the top. Okay.
So
Thanks.
mind, less the craving, and what you have is pure awareness. But it's any thought flow. It doesn't have to just be craving. It can be anything. The whole point is you are awareness. You do not have awareness. Awareness is not a possession. It's who and what I am. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Please.
How do you stay kind to yourself if it's so repetitive? After a point, I feel like I get annoyed.
At yourself?
Yeah.
I know the feeling. If you figure out a way, let me know.
What's the question?
She gets annoyed at herself seeing the repetition of the craving. And you just have to have a lot of compassion and continue to do your best to give it up. That's all I can say. It's not
Welcome
easy.
to the club.
Yeah. Yeah. And always, renunciation is the fruit of insight. When you see how the craving is causing the suffering, then you develop the desire to be free from the desire. And that's the hardest part, because the ego just didn't want to see that. And then if you can, when your mind starts down that pathway, that rabbit hole, chant the name of the Lord, go do service, wash dishes, go garden, take an interest in another person. Don't let your mind go down the rabbit hole. Oh, it would be so good to have blah, blah, blah. I'm so unhappy. All my friends have blah, 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 blah. You know, if you just keep going down that rabbit hole, it gets thicker and thicker. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
But don't I have a right to be angry? You don't do anything you want. It's so interesting. To my knowledge, I don't even know if there is a Sanskrit word for rights. Is there? A lot of different discussions about duty. Not about rights. That's very much a modern Western notion. And the one I love the best. Well, I'm not getting my needs met in this relationship. How many of us have heard that and had the psychotherapist tell us that? I was working with someone today, you know. What are our needs? Our needs are actually pretty damn minimal. Do you have a place to stay tonight? Do you have food in the house? Any body parts falling off? You know, your needs are being met. All the rest of it is somewhere on the gradation of craving. I've just dressed up certain cravings that I won't compromise with. That's all it is. And then again, one of Shankara's most famous sayings, at least, don't embrace a rotting corpse thinking it's a beautiful bride. We dress up our cravings, our desires, pack them with all sorts of romantic ideals. All they are is teeter totter. Bliss factor very low. Attachment very high. Let go. You choose. So, little review on Ananda. Very important subject. Ananda, yourself, no sorrow reaches there. And your swabhava, your self-nature is the source, the fountainhead of all joy. It's an illusion to project that into the world. But it's a powerful illusion, and that's how the Lord keeps the Maya going. All right, did we get all the pieces of that verse?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I can't verbalize it, so I'll come up in another time.
Next verse.
Atmana Satchidam Chascha Buddhir Vritti Tvayam Samyoga Cha Vivekena Jnanamiti Pravartate. By the indiscriminate bleeding of the two, the existence, consciousness, aspects of the self, and the thought wave of the intellect, there arises the notion of I know.
So it is in the intellect. Again, when I attribute to the self agency, then I get the illusory experience. I know, I think, I remember. When in fact, what's really going on is I illumine a thought. Now, you do not have to talk funny. Language is dualistic. It's your understanding that needs to step out of the world of dualism. I can remember early on in my sadhana, I was at a camp, and Swamiji used to have this big table up front where he would eat, and we would all be down below and stuff like that. And he asked someone to pass him the chutney. Pass me the chutney. He thinks he's the one receiving the chutney, No. There are some schools of Buddhists who will say this one is going to the store today. This one is going to use the car today. Yay, if you want. But we have all sorts of uses of language which are contrary to our common knowledge. Of course, the clearest one, you hear me use this all the time, no one has ever seen a sunset. You've seen an earth spin, and you've known this probably since about the 3rd or 4th grade, right?
Mhm.
But nobody says, oh, the earth spin was so beautiful this evening. Nobody says that. It was overcast today, and then it cleared, and I say, oh, the sky is so blue, it's so wonderful. The sky is not blue, but we say it. Oh, you see the clouds? Can you see the dragon in the clouds? Oh, look, it's shifting now. I think it looks like a horse. Oh, there's no horse or dragon in the sky. So don't get caught up in language. It's perfectly okay to use the I pronoun to refer to your body, mind, intellect in what we call vyavahara, doing business, daily transactions. It's not problematic, but let your knowledge be. I am ever the unattached witness of all thought. True thought, false thought, virtuous thought, vicious thought. I even am the witness of ego thoughts. I'm annoyed with myself because of the repetition of this klesha. Isn't that basically what you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see that thought go by? That's all it is thought. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pay no attention to it. It's unreal. World says, oh, that person's so terrible, they're thoughtless. World says, yes, I am thoughtless. And an even deeper understanding of this shloka, none of my thoughts are real. The yogi practices not believing their mind. Did we get all the pieces of this one?
I can read it again.
Read it again.
By the indiscriminate blending of the two, the existence consciousness aspects of the self, and the thought wave of the intellect, there arises the notion of I know.
Yes. I know, I do, perceive, takes all these different forms. This is this karta, this agent. Another, you've heard me also refer to it as ahankara, the I maker thoughts. If I feel like a person, my mind has made this kind of thought. I am smart, I am stupid, I am good, I am bad, I'm successful, I am a failure. I am fill in the blank. If there's any qualifier, what is the qualifier? Some body experience, emotion, thought, judgment, memory. It's not a description of me. It's a description of the equipment. None of it ever touches me. Over and over again. This process is viveka, discrimination. Right. Next verse.
Atmano vikriya nasti, buddhe bodho na jatviti, jiva sarvamalam nyatva nyata trashteti muhyati. Atman never does anything, and the intellect on its own accord has no capacity to experience I know. But the individuality in us, due to the delusion, thinks that it itself is the seer and the knower.
Yes. So we get a borrowed luminosity. I'm not going to do it tonight because I didn't set up the thing, but those of you who remember the basic course, remember when I brought the mirror out? Everybody remember that? Anybody been in a class where I haven't done that? Daniel, have you seen me play with a mirror?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. I hold it up here and I shine the mirror in somebody's face from the light. And the question is there a light in the mirror? Kind of yes and kind of no. So the quality of the mirror is it has the capacity to reflect the light.
Mhm.
So also the subtle intellect has the capacity to reflect awareness into sense perception, feelings, awareness of feelings, awareness of thoughts, memories, etc. And it gives me the feeling that I, Jim, see, hear, taste, feel, think, and remember and coordinate it all. It's the sense of jiva bhavana, the feeling that I'm a person. Now, we're not saying that that doesn't occur. Just like, well, there kind of is a light in the mirror. Certainly can shine it into your eyes. Yeah, I do. I'm Jim. You do not know what I had for lunch. I remember what I had for lunch. What's the I that had it for lunch? Well, actually, it was the body that had the lunch. And I witnessed it all. But it seems like it happened to me and not to you. This function. It's not evil. Understand? Oh, I'm going to kill my ego. No, it's not evil. It's just not you. Understand the distinction. It's not. Watch it rise and fall and disappear. It goes away completely in deep sleep. In samadhi, it's gone. But you go nowhere. So the scriptures use this wonderful term, chit chaya. Chaya means a shadow or a reflection. So the reflection of consciousness caught in the web of thought, is what we used to say. And of course, another one of Shankara's examples is the moon shining into the jars of water. Are there moons in the jars of water? Well, kind of yes, kind of no. It looks like the moon. It shines like the moon. And if I disturb the water, the moon gets agitated. But the real moon is never touched. So also, it seems like I am happy, I am sad, I know this, I don't know that. I'm in ignorance, I have realized. They're all conditions of the mind and intellect. This card that's constantly working, attributing to the self the qualities of the self. But for the woman or man of knowledge, they see this is just the coordinating mechanism in the intellect. It's how the equipment functions in the world. But it's not self. Now, if I had the mirror here and I was shining it in your faces, we could say, oh, it looks like there's 3 lights. 1, 2, 3. Can you discriminate between the actual lights and the reflected? Well, from a faraway distance, or if you were nearsighted and had your glasses on, that might be kind of hard. So also, it takes a very subtle intellect to discriminate the difference between chit and chit jaya, between the self, which does nothing, knows nothing, as it were, near malam without any dirt or taint, and this reflection of consciousness in the subtle. Some of you, this will land as your direct experience. Others, what the F is he talking about? Don't worry about it. Put it on the shelf for now. It's very subtle teaching. We started with 23.
Yeah.
What one are we on now?
27.
23, 23, 24, 25, 26.
We're starting 27.
Pardon me? We're starting 27. Oh, let's be adventurous. Let's do it.
It's a good one. Rajju sarpa padatmanam
Yes.
jivam nyatva bhayam vahe naham jiva paratmeti jnanas che nirbhayo bhave. Just as the person who regards a rope as a snake is overcome by fear, so also one considering oneself as the ego is overcome by fear. The egocentric individuality in us becomes fearless by realizing that it is not a jiva, but the supreme self.
Yeah. Now, look at the cover of your book. Is that a snake or a rope on the cover of your book? Someone in the mission did fabulous graphics. It is the image of Raju Sattva. So again, when there's a rope on the ground and I imagine a snake, notice I don't imagine a basketball. I don't imagine an elephant. The snake looks a lot like the rope, but the rope a lot like the snake. Pretty damn close to each other. But where is the snake? It's not really on the ground. It's in my mind. What we're experiencing is what the technical term is called adhyasa, superimposition. I do not apprehend the substratum, and instead I imagine something and superimpose it upon them. So also, there is this jiva bhavana, this idea in the subtle intellect that I'm a person. What is in the subtle intellect? I attribute to myself the qualities of the not-self. If I do that, immediately I'm filled with fear because equipment is ever changing, the world is ever changing. And if I think who and what I am is determined by perception, mind states, feelings, it's constant fear. It is like when you go to the county fair and you go into the fun house with all the various mirrors. And you look at one mirror and you look very tall. You look at another mirror and you're all fat. You look at another mirror and you're a bunch of globs. You ever gone into fun houses where they have those kind of mirrors? What is the mirror doing? The quality of the mirror is then superimposed upon me, my body. And that's what we do. How am I doing? Am I okay? What do you think of me? If I have a certificate from the university, it means I'm okay. I'm in front of the mirror where I'm very tall. My partner yells at me. I'm in front of the mirror, I'm all squashed. I mean, I'm no good. That's what we do. I attribute to myself the qualities of that reflecting surface, which is the body, mind, intellect. With its sense perceptions, its judgments, interpretations, and its conclusions made in the end. No wonder I'm terrified. Because it's like standing in the middle of the funhouse and the damn thing keeps rotating. There's no security there. But what Shankara is saying is once I've made that discrimination and I really get I am Nitya, eternal. Chidananda Rupaham, Shankara says, my form is bliss consciousness. Then you can give the big middle finger to the world. Nothing is ever going to harm you, diminish you. Nothing can keep you from peace, bliss, happiness. There's no danger. You're safe. This is what makes the personality fearless. As long as I'm in the fun house of egoism, I'm constantly fearful because I'm attributing to myself the qualities of the not self, just like I'm attributing to my body the distortions of the various mirrors, which is sense perception, what people say to me, what my senses report to me, judgment from memory, intellect, and the great demon that snags me into that attachment and identification. So this is, in a sense, one of the promises that the scriptures give us. You don't have to be, oh, I don't have to worry about coming back in another incarnation, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't you settle to have a life free from fear? You know, that works for me. Would you like to settle for a life where you quit doubting, worrying, where you have trust? I don't know about you. All right, good place to stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.